I know what you're thinking. Ooh, radar. Well, actually it's not radar. Wished it was, but I'm not to that point yet. That'll be a future video. This isn't radar. It looks like radar, but it's actually a TV antenna, omnidirectional. And so on the very top is the VHF, UHF antenna. It also has an AM, FM antenna right here, built in. And this is a Winegard Air 360. So it's omnidirectional. It should pick up in any direction, which is nice on a boat because you're moving around. And these actually, you can get these with 4G and 5G antennas also built into them. And I thought about it, but I wasn't really sure how well this was going to work. I've had some of these antennas in the past that weren't very good. I did hook this up to my flat screen and with no amplification at all, and it actually worked pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and hook the amplifier up to it. So I'm going to have to wire it in. So this is the amplifier here. And this is the interior side to it. So this goes on the inside of your boat. And it's kind of weird. I kind of wish they hadn't had these connectors pointing down. It'd been nice if they were pointing out and maybe not as wide. So what's going on here is you hook the antenna, this antenna, to this connector here on this side. And then this faces inside the boat, and your TV connects to this side, which is kind of backwards from what you would think. It also has cable connection for cable TV, and it also has a connection for a second television for your antenna and your cable. So, and it has a power switch here to turn the amplifier on and off. Sometimes the amplifier will make your reception better, and sometimes it actually will make it worse. So you have the option of turning it on and off. It didn't come with a power supply. So it's just the amplifier, which is kind of strange. I don't understand. It was pretty expensive. I think I paid like $200 for it. It really should have come with an amplifier or a power supply, but it doesn't, and it requires 12 volts DC. So this is I got a bunch of these things, all different kinds, and this is from something, I don't know what, but I'd cut the wires on it, so it's 12 volts DC and 3 amps, which is way more than I need here. So all I need to do now is connect this to this, and I got some marine grade wire here, and I don't know if it really needs to be marine grade because it's inside the boat, but it's in an area where it might get wet. I already have a hole in the side of the boat for when I had a different antenna hooked up, and also for my internet connection. And so I used a hole saw, which is one of those round drill bits, and I made I don't know what size it is, probably 1.5 inch diameter hole inside of my boat already. But because this is bigger, I'm going to have to make a bigger hole, which I'm not looking forward to. I don't like drilling holes in my boat, but it's got to be done. So what I'm going to do is I just need to connect this to this, and so I got some marine grade wire. Here's a piece actually that I used, cut from a previous project, and it needs to be, I took this little piece of rope here and tied a knot in it and measured the length of wire that I need so it'll fit where it needs to go. So let's see if this piece is going to work. It might be a little short. It's close, but I think I'll go ahead and cut another piece to make sure it's going to fit. So they're both the same. So I'll start with that and get the wire cut. this one out of here so I don't use it by mistake. And I can just use this one. Make them exactly the same. Okay, now I have a couple options here. I'm going to go ahead and strip these ends with my wire stripper. These things are really nice, but usually you got to kind of put your finger on the top to hold it down, otherwise it won't cut good. But these things save a lot of time. Let's see what I got here. Maybe I don't need to hold it. Let's see what happens. Oh, that worked great. Okay, I didn't need to hold that. I might as well just do the other end while I'm at it. Okay, see how easy that is? Strip the wire that quick. Okay, so the wires are stripped. That was easy. Now, I have to, I got to strip this too. Oh, I got to get my voltmeter. I got to plug this in and figure out which is positive and which is negative. This has already been stripped a little bit, but I think I'll strip it a little more. Maybe I'm going to just cut it and clean it up and redo it completely. So I'm going to cut these ends off. I think. Okay, now I'm going to restrip these, kind of peel them apart a little bit, so I'll get nice clean wire. This hasn't been oxidized. Let's see how this one strips. Yeah, good. Okay, that's good. Now, I like to twist these. Marine grade copper wire is tinned, which is basically just like solder. So the entire wire is dipped in solder, hot solder, melted, and then the insulation is applied to the wire. So that makes it marine grade. It's still copper wire, but it's just tinned. And I'm going to twist these ends. And I'm going to twist these ends. And I'm going to have to go get my multimeter, and I'm going to have to plug this in and determine which one is plus and which one is minus, because I don't even see any indication on the insulation for that. Take a look. Yeah, there is. It's really hard to see. There's a gray dashed line. So I don't know what the gray dashed line is, but I need to definitely use my multimeter and test it. Okay, so I got a couple of pieces of test equipment in here, but I'm going to get out my Fluke multimeter, which I absolutely love this thing. Real high quality, good piece of test equipment. Okay, now I'm going to plug this in, and I got to make sure these don't touch. If these two wires touch, it's going to be a disaster. So let's keep them separate. And I just saw a little spark when I plugged it in. It's a 3 amp power supply, so hopefully there's nothing wrong with it. Now, it's okay to touch these. It's only 12 volts DC, so it's safe. It's not going to shock you. I mean, if I stuck my tongue on it, it'd probably shock my tongue. So you don't want to do that. And so Got my wires all tangled up here already. So I'm going to set my multimeter to voltage, DC voltage. And I'm going to go ahead and so I'm going to find out the polarity and which side is plus and which side is minus. And I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see better. Well, my eyesight's getting better. I've been using these reading glasses. I started using them at work, and my eyesight, it made my eyesight worse. And so I ended up getting more powerful reading glasses over time, more powerful. My eyesight got worse and worse. I couldn't see anything without my glasses on. And a friend of mine at work, he was juicing, he had a juicer, and he was juicing baby carrots. He bought these little baby carrots. He kept juicing them and juicing them. And I take him down to Costco, and he'd get big sacks of them, and he'd just juice tons of them. He loved them. I think he just did it more because he liked it. He went to the optometrist, and the optometrist said, hey, you know, we're going to need to change your prescription. He goes, why is my eyesight getting worse? He goes, no, it's getting better. And I don't know if it's a myth that eating carrots is going to improve your eyesight, but he was juicing all these small carrots, and his eyesight got better. And so I've been eating a lot of the small carrots too, because when I cook, sometimes if I cook like a stew or something like that, I don't have to cut up the carrots. I'll just throw the baby carrots in whole, and so it makes for less prep work. And I've been eating a lot of them, and my eyesight's been getting better too. And I was using like 2.75 glasses, and today I just went down and bought these, and these are 1.2. No, they're 1.5, and I can see great with them. Before I wouldn't be able to see very good with these. Also, another thing I've been doing is I've been forcing myself not to use these and forcing myself to focus on stuff. It's almost painful and difficult, but I'll literally force my eyes to focus on stuff close, because I can see far away fine. It's just up close. And I think between the carrots and focusing up close, my eyesight has really improved. It's getting to the point now where I almost don't really need these anymore, which I'm really hoping I'll get to that point. But I've done a little research and found out that there's like 6 muscles around each eye, and over time they get weak, and what happens is it changes the shape of your eye. And so if you exercise your eye, like some people do eye exercises where they do this, and then they look off in the distance and up close, and what that does is it exercises those muscles, and it pulls your eye back into the shape it should be, and your eyesight will improve. So at any rate, that's what I've heard, and it seems to be working for me, which is really cool. So my eyesight definitely has improved. So let's see what we get here. And I like I said, I really don't even need these. I can see what I need to do without them. But let's just do this. Okay, it's 12.11 volts. And I got it backwards because there's a minus sign there. So that means that this side is positive. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it around, and the minus sign should go away, which means that I have this connected correctly now. And it's 12.11 volts, and the minus sign has disappeared. So this side is positive. Now I'm going to put my glasses on because this little marking on this wire is really hard to see. It's a black wire with a little gray stripe on it. It's not even a full stripe. It's just like a dashed line. So I want to see if that's what I'm seeing here. Nope, it's the other side. So the dashed line is the negative. Okay, so this side is positive, and the dashed line is negative. Let's make sure. Yeah, the other side has no markings. And let me see. Okay, so this is negative, this is positive. So that's good. I can turn my multimeter off now. And so this is the positive side. So next, I need to connect this to here. Now I got a couple options. I can solder these together, which would probably be the best thing to do. I have these really cool little connectors, and they're watertight. Let's see, and they have solder in the middle. So what you do is you put one wire in one side, one wire on the other side, and there's a band of solder in the center, and it's a hollow tube. You can see all the way through it. So I can do that. Let's see if I want to try this. And I've done this before. So this is the positive side, which is going to be the red one. And let me see, how's that other end look? It's a little longer. I think I'll go with the longer one. Okay, so now I'm going to see if this will fit in here. Ooh, this wire is bigger. So I'll have to go with a bigger size. I wished it would fit. Actually, it's fitting. I just got to force it in there. So I'm going to force this in. Yeah, it's going to go. It's going to work. I'll force it in, but that's okay. And this is also shrink tube at the same time. So let's see if I can get this to go in as far as I need it to go. Yeah, okay. So let's make sure I don't get the wrong side. Okay, this is the positive side. And I'm going to twist it up. Okay, we'll give this a try. Now if I can get both of these pieces of wire to fit through the solder, I'll be good. And it looks like it's going. Yeah, it's going. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little torch here. So I have this soldering iron, which is really cool. So it's a regular soldering iron with a soldering tip on it. And what's really cool about this thing, it's butane, so it's cordless. I can take the soldering tip off. Oops. And it turns into a little torch, which is really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll do this one. I probably should do both of them at the same time because I may just be almost out of butane in here, and I got a great big can, but I got to go get it out of my dock box. So I'm going to get both of these prepped, and that way I can, oops, that way I can just do it. Once I start the torch, I can just do both of them. So make sure this wire here is twisted real tight, both of them. Let's go this way. I'll twist it real tight so it's small diameter as I can get it. So now I'm going to go ahead and light the torch and melt. Now when I do this, the trick to these things are the shrink tube. So you want to do the outer part first. You don't want to do the solder part. If you do and the reason for that, this probably wouldn't be a problem on this one, but if you do the outer part first, the shrink tube will shrink around the wire and it'll hold it in place so it won't move apart. So that'll help. It makes it easy. And then once that's done, then you heat the center, and that'll melt the solder that's inside the tube, and it'll solder the two pieces of wire together. So let's see how this works. And my torch is working good. So the trick is to do this without melting your wire. I'm going to pull this apart a little bit more. Give myself more room. Ooh, my wire just came loose. All right, I'm going to shut this off. I just pulled this wire out. So that's why you want to shrink tube the ends first. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just shrink tube the ends first. And there it goes, that easy. It just shrinks right on there, real nice. I'm going to shrink the other side real quick, and it shrinks up real quick. Just go around it, all the way around it. Now I'm going to melt the solder in the middle. Well, make sure you get that solder good and melted. Just like that. Okay, I think that's good, maybe a little bit better. Whew, catch it on fire. Okay, that's definitely melted. Now I'm going to do this one. solder. Gotta be careful, you don't want to get it too hot because you'll melt the tube. Ooh, I can see it flowing now, that's good. Okay, that's really good. Now, I don't know, it looks to me like the tube melted and it's exposed. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to look at it here, inspect it. I can put shrink tube over this still because I don't have an end on these yet. So I'm gonna probably do that just for extra safety. So now I can pull on these and they should be fine. They look good, they look protected, but for extra safety, I'm gonna put some shrink tube on it over this. Trick is you just don't want to melt it. So you kind of just got to go evenly around it. Just go around the ends a little bit here. I don't think I'm going to get that in tight enough. It's already, the thing is that when you heat up shrink tube, it'll shrink. And if you keep heating it, after it shrinks, it'll expand back out again. So you don't want to overheat it. But that's more than good enough for what I need. So that's good. I'm going to call that done. That should be all the soldering and that I need to do. These I'm going to crimp on, and I don't really like crimping little connectors. I'd rather solder them, which I may just do. I may pull this insulation off and just go ahead and solder these. My torch is running out of butane. I'll have to go get some out of my dock box. So I don't know, maybe I'll just crimp them and make sure that these are the same size so they'll fit, and I know they'll fit. Okay, so next thing is put these on. So I don't mind crimping big fittings. You can actually, it's better to crimp fittings anyway instead of soldering them. But these little ones, they can come loose pretty easy. And if you're dealing with something that's carrying a lot of current and big size and vibration, like around a diesel engine, actually a good crimp, it creates this connection that's just, it's like one piece. And but that's on big connectors. These little ones, they tend to be a little, they tend to get a little loose. So I think I'll just go ahead and maybe just go ahead and crimp this on. It's only for a television, so it's nothing too serious. Looks good. And it's good and tight. Okay, now I'm going to make sure these aren't touching. I'm going to plug it back in and make sure I got it right. So red is positive and black is negative. Because knowing me, I do stuff, and when I do all this work, and usually when it turns out really nice and looks really good, something's wrong with it. If it looks sloppy and crappy, it usually works every time. That's just how I am. So this looks really good, so hopefully it'll be okay. I'm sure it will be. Let's test it out anyway, just to make sure. Okay, set to DC. And red to red and black to black. And it's 12.11 volts and 12.11 and no minus sign, so that means it is the correct polarity. So now I can go ahead and hook it up to this board. I'm going to unplug it first. Before I do that, I want to make sure it's not plugged in. Okay, it's unplugged completely. Now this board has two connectors, and one is ground. It's getting dark out here. And the other is power. So let's do ground first because it's kind of in the back, a little more difficult to get to. So I'm going to connect the ground connector, the negative first. Double check, make sure I'm seeing it right. GND stands for ground. So the black wire connects to ground. And it fits nice and tight, which is good. So yeah, this is nice. Nice job. Okay. And Make sure this isn't all twisted up. Okay, so now I have the ground or negative connected to the amplifier, and I have the positive connected to the amplifier, so it's all set. So all I gotta do is plug this in and turn this button on, and it should turn the amplifier on. Has a little LED that'll light up when it's on. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna drill a big hole in my boat yet. I wanna test this first. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set this up on the roof right here, just right up here on the cabin roof, my antenna. And I got this little short cable, and it's gonna go through the hole that I already have in the side of the boat, and it'll attach to the antenna part on the back side here. And then I already have a cable running from my flat screen TV over to where that hole is. And so this will be on the inside of the boat. I'll plug it into the wall socket here for power, to power up the power supply. And I'll hook this all up, and then I'll go ahead and run a channel scan on my TV, and see how many channels I get, and see if I want to continue on with this antenna. The thing is, this thing is huge. It looks like a radar dome, and it looks just like a radar dome. But the reason it's so big is because you can get these, like I said, with a 4G and a 5G antenna that go in here. So they're kind of big. And so you'll have everything in one unit. And I may go ahead and add that in later. But for right now, I just got this for television, basically. And so, yeah, let's see how it works. Hopefully it'll work good. Okay, so now I got it set on the top of my cabin here. It's just sitting there. And I got my ratty main sheet there, kind of holding it. So if the wind blows, it hopefully won't blow it off. So this is just to test it, and eventually I'll have to figure out where I want to put this if I decide to go with it. But yeah, it looks all right. It'll be fine there. So now all I got to do is hook up the other end of the cable to the power supply, plug it in, power it up, hook my TV to it, and then power it up. And then I'm going to do a channel scan and see how many channels I get. And right now it's low tide, and I think tonight around 10:30 it'll be high tide, so the antenna will be a little higher up. So I'll probably scan it again later tonight. It's a real clear night. We had rain, so it's real clear and cold, and usually radio signals work better when it's clear and cold. But some TV stations dial back their power later at night. So I'll do a scan now, and then I'll do a scan later tonight and see if there's a difference, and see how many channels I get and see how well it works. And one of the problems with TVs is that when the wind blows, especially with digital TVs, when the wind blows, some channels won't come in as good. And if you have a directional antenna, you have to move it around depending on which way the wind's blowing. And another thing that drives me nuts is your body actually affects reception. And like when I've had other antennas in my boat that were inside, interior ones, and if I like leaned forward at my table when I was watching TV, the channel would go out, and then I have to lean back and come back on again. It drove me nuts. And it doesn't matter. You don't have to be between the transmitting tower and the antenna for it to do that. I mean, sometimes you're not even between the two and it'll still do it. So, yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, let's see what happens. Okay, so now I got the power on, and an LED's lit up. It's green. I don't know if you can see it, but it's lit up green. So there's power to the device, and yeah, so now I just need to do a channel scan and see how many channels I get and see how well it works, and wait for a stormy day and a windy day and see how well it works then too. Okay, so I'm going to do a channel scan and let's see what we get. Antenna DTV, 119 channels found. Antenna TV, 0 channels. Of course, I'm not hooked to cable, so it doesn't show anything there. So I assume that's showing 119 channels. So I'm going to say done. And I'm going to go to down and let's see what we got. Okay, channel 2-1 coming in. 2-2.
7-6.
2-3. 2-4.
And who has more expensive
And
tape?
then 4-1. 4-2. 4-3.
$1.
4-4.
Only on
4-5.
Well,
5-1.
Brittany Spencer, Luke Combs, Miranda Lambert, and
because if
Okay, so I'm going to jump up to 7-1. Okay, this is really good. I don't get 7-1 normally. I don't get 7-2 normally. I don't get 7-3 normally. Wow, this is great. So 7-4, 9-1, 9-2, 9-3, 9-4, okay, 11. This,
that's not necessarily.
oh, wow, okay, so 11 comes in good usually. 13.
Here tonight at 8 over on KMAX 31, and
Wow.
again at 10 and 11 here.
13 was a channel I never would get.
and his mom, 5.
It wouldn't even show up. Fantastic. Okay, that one didn't come in, but hey, it's 13.5. 14.1. 14's usually coming good, so this is all looking good. This is really good. This is the best receptions I've ever gotten. Let's go up into the 20s. Ooh, 20s. I'm getting some of these 20s I wouldn't get before.
Look at that.
24. Doesn't look like that one's going to come in. Let's skip over it. 27. 24.8. 26. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of new channels here. I'm going to just run through them real quick. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of channels here I never got. 30s. 30s, of course I got those. Okay. 38. Didn't get that. 42s. 44, I got those. Wow. This is great. 50. This all looks really good. I'm just going to run through it real quick up until I get to about 60 something. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Now I'm to the.
Also has 2 personal
Of course, these are through my internet connection here. These channels, so they all come in good. So wow, this is great. Okay. Awesome. So I scanned a lot of channels. I got, I don't know how many, 122 broadcast, and I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I actually got channel 13, which is a Sacramento station, which is unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. So it's CBS. And it's best to have the amplifier as close to the antenna as possible. And that way you're amplifying the signal going to the TV set. So you get line loss with cables and any wiring, any electrical, anything over distance, you get line loss. So having the amplifier next to the antenna amplify the signal, pushing it through the long distance cable, and so it works better. If you have it closer to the flat screen, then not as much. I've tried both ways, and definitely you want it as close to the antenna as possible, which isn't always doable because if your antenna is way up high, then you can't. But how I have it set up now, it's just sitting up here on the roof, so I only have like I think it's maybe a 3-foot or 4-foot section of cable from the antenna to the amplifier, and then probably about 30 feet to the flat screen. So it worked out really good. I'm really impressed. This is the best antenna I've ever had, and so it works really good. So if you found this video to be helpful or entertaining, please like and subscribe.